last night. What were your thoughts on Beterbiev and Smith?
What did I think of last night? I've not felt this confused and gutted like I felt last night. Like these are both my guys, both guys that I've worked with, since virtually the beginning of their careers, practically. Arthur, since day one, I've been in his corner. And it's been a thrill and a privilege to be part of that team, and to work with a great fighter like that and play a role in his wins. We've traveled to Russia together, we've traveled to California together. It's been a ride, and it's been great. Callum, I went to Saudi Arabia with him, won the Ali trophy there. I worked with every member of his family, Paul, Stephen, Beefy, who I still work with. Beefy's the guy I probably work with the most, but I've worked with all four of them, and I know the family well, and I've been part of their family, and I work a lot with their gym and with the trainer at the gym at Rotunda. And bro, I was just torn yesterday, and I said before the fight that I will not be happy for the winner, regardless of who won. I said I won't be happy for the winner because my friend would have just lost. Didn't matter who it was. And I felt terrible last night, Loco. It was hard for me to watch it. When Smith was in trouble, I felt like I want to rescue him from that trouble, and yet Arthur's my friend, and it was an awful feeling. 45 years in boxing, the only time I ever experienced that before, but I wasn't actually actively working with either fighter at the time, was a fight, way before your time, was when Barrington Francis fought Victor Salvatore here in Montreal. Both guys boxed for me. Barrington started with me, started as a kid with me, turned pro with me, went on to a successful pro career. You might know Barrington. I think you know Barrington. He's in Toronto now. And Victor Salvatore boxed most of his pro career with me, won Canadian championship with me, and I'd known him since he was a little kid in the amateurs, and they fought each other. And I hated being in the building that night. I left the building. So it was an awful feeling for me, bro.
Yeah, I had to ask you because I thought the same thing last night. I thought, wait a second, Russ Anber worked with both fighters. So I was like, I wonder what Russ Amber's thinking right now.
I'm surprised that, I'm surprised and a little bit disappointed that the boxing media, thinks so little of my work that they didn't think it's important that, I wasn't in the corner, as if I'm a nobody, I'm irrelevant in the corner, that they didn't think that was an important thing to say that I'm not in the corner. That bothered me that people didn't pay attention to that, and I thought it would get more recommendation or more views or more opinions from people that I was not in the corner of either guy, and I couldn't make a choice. It's impossible. No amount of money could have made me make that choice.
Russ, I got to ask you one more question in regards to Beterbiev.
Sure.
Do you think that now we can finally see Beterbiev versus Bivol?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm just going to tell somebody here that I'm on with you, Latino Loco. So I hope so. And I think, again, in this state of boxing, it's quite sad. It's quite sad that we haven't seen it already. There have been many opportunities for that fight to happen. And once again, it doesn't happen. Oh, no, let's wait. Okay, I guess, what's his name? Bivol had a legitimate excuse because he got the cash cow. He got the goose that laid the golden egg. You gotta give him credit for that. You have to wait around for that fight. But I think since that time, there's been plenty of opportunities where that fight could have happened. And I hope we do see it. And I hope Saudi comes through in their promise to put that on. I hope Bivol delivers on that. I hope Matchroom delivers on that. I hope they don't wait till Arthur is 64 years old before they make the fight.
I think that's probably what's gonna happen eventually. I don't know. Like John Scully said one time, I think everyone's waiting for Beterbiev to get older.
Well, I'll tell you what, he didn't look old last night. He looked like he got younger last night. Because, like, when you think about the fight against Yard in last January, was a very tough fight, very competitive fight as well. I remember being interviewed by Stephen Bunce and Richie Woodhall right after the fight, and I said, this is the toughest opponent that has resisted the most from any opponent that Beterbiev has fought. He's resisted the most and punched back the most. And everyone started to question, has Father Time caught up with Arthur? Well, last night, he kicked Father Time in the ass last night. Boy, I'll tell you, he kicked him in the ass last night because he looked like a young Beterbiev. And another thing that I don't think that people gave enough recognition to, his boxing skills, his sense of range, what he sees, what an opponent is doing, his reaction time, his distance. They're not giving him enough credit for that because that played a major, major role in the success he had last night against a taller, power-punching Callum Smith.
Yeah, I said to John Scully, when I first saw Beterbiev fight, I couldn't see the skills, but now I can see the skills. And last night I saw the jab working. I saw that jab.
When your jab is getting to the target better than the guy who has the massive height advantage on you, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. I'll tell you, he was just, the jab was good. When I see a smaller guy landing a jab, it's a work of art. And I started in boxing. The guy who gave me my start in boxing was a fighter named Vinny Curto. And Vinny was a 5'6" middleweight. And he boxed like he was 6'2". And he would just hit you with that jab all night long, just because he knew that range, just because he knew where to put his foot, just the way he knew how to bend in and be small and pop the jab out. And seeing Arthur do that last night, Arthur really performed outstanding against, maybe the best and certainly the most dangerous opponent he has ever fought. And he shone last night in terms of his performance. It was a world-class performance from a world-class fighter against world-class opposition.
It's hard to see the skills sometimes because, like I said to Scully, guys like Beterbiev that have so much power, sometimes it's hard to see the skills,
One thing, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and we were talking about the very same thing of, what certain people see. And a layman will see something, will see a certain thing, usually the most obvious. Oh, well, he's a great puncher. A trainer will see something else. A boxing guy who understands the skill of boxing, the skill set, what's needed. And I've given you this example a million times as it pertains to Juan Manuel Marquez, okay? Juan Manuel was too good for the people who were judging him. The judges weren't good enough to understand the science and the brain work behind Juan Manuel Marquez and what he did. They only see punches thrown and punches land. They don't see what he's doing and how he's able to make you miss by this much. A trainer sees that. So me last night when I'm watching the fight, I was telling my friend that I was watching, I said, Callum can't land. He's trying to land. Even when he's getting into toe-to-toe exchanges with him, he's trying to land and he can't land. And that's going to be a big problem because his defense was way better than I think anybody expected it to be.
Since you mentioned Marquez, I don't think Pacquiao fanatics could see the talent in Marquez.
There's a difference between not seeing the talent and being a fanatic. You know, that's two different things. You know? You already have a bias there. But you know, like I think the important guy who knew how good Marquez was Pacquiao himself. He knew. He knew. He knew.
And
he's a fighter. He's a fighter. He knew.
And one more thing with Beterbiev getting old, that doesn't matter because your boy Hopkins did it for how long? Your boy Hopkins, how old was he when he retired?
I think he was still fighting at 50, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah, 50 years. Yeah.
So you know, and again, that's because of a great skill set, and when you can take care of your body. You know, be 10 pounds over your weight at all times. Like he carried his weight. He was 10 pounds over his weight at all times. He get in shape like this. And the skill set he had. And that just goes to show you how important that is, that natural talent will make you explode onto the scene and dominate, and then often comes crashing down quickly. But the fighters who are technically sound, consistently good, their careers, they might not be meteoric, but they get up there and they for a long time and they come out and they change weight classes and they're able to go on and to fight tougher fights each time and still be able to perform because of their skill set. That's important.
What do you say to all the guys that were? I think they were complaining. It seemed like they were complaining about the ring size.
See, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I don't know what was negotiated in the contract. There's Callum. I hope you're okay, brother. I hope you're okay. It was a hell of a performance. I don't know even what the ringside was. I was watching it on a little screen this big, so I couldn't even tell how big it was. Some people were telling me that it was a small ring, but I would imagine that would have been something that was negotiated going into the fight. So I'm not sure. You know, what if any was there an issue with the ring size? Did you hear anything about that?
I know I didn't hear anything about it. It seemed to me like a few guys mentioned the ring size, and I was like thinking, are these guys complaining? Like, I'm not sure what's going on here, but
I don't know. That I don't know. You know, not being there, you know, I'm not privy to a lot of that inside information, you know, so I don't know what was negotiated or what was dealt with, you know, in terms of the ring size or what was agreed upon.
And I just heard, I don't know if this is just rumors, but I just heard that Callum Smith retired.
Again, I did not hear that either. I know he was asked what his future was going to be. He said he was going to go home and spend time with his family, which is, of course, the thing you have to do. You know, you don't make a decision like that, a career, life-changing decision. If retirement is serious, you don't make that decision on the spur of the moment, just coming off of a loss against arguably one of the best fighters in the world and the only fighter with a 100% knockout ratio. You don't make a decision like that off the cuff. You know, this needs to be reflected upon. You look at what you did, what got you there, watch the fight, see what you thought you did right, what you thought you did wrong, and then analyze if you want to go through with this. I don't want to see Callum, who's a friend of mine, I don't want to see him go on if he doesn't have that desire and motivation to be back in the gym and conquer. But the one thing about fighting, local, the mountain, once rank from the silver cup, once you've been to the top, it's very hard now to go back and fight domestic level fights, you know, local fights, which could be of great interest you know, in the UK, there could be, you know, he could fight Yard. There's people clamoring he should fight Yard. Oh, move up to cruiserweight. You know, all these, you know, keyboard matchmakers, you know, have all these fights planned that can possibly be made. And you can make any fight. He could fight King Kong. You can make any fight, you know. That's not the point. But as a fighter, you know, do you want to go back in the gym? Do you enjoy doing that? Do you want to go back and do what you did your whole life to keep climbing? Everything in his career, right up until last night, was a step up, step up, step up, step up, step up, step up. Everything was a step up. What up, Teddy? Everything was a step up all the way. It's very hard now to have to go back and take a step down, step down, step down. You know, oh, I'll fight this guy, I'll go down. That's not the way the career works. So for a fighter, if he's honest with himself, has to be thinking about always going up, going forward. And if you don't have that desire or motivation to do it, then don't do it. You know, it's better that you bow out with your head high as a great champion. Listen, the guy's going to go through the rest of his life. You know, he's going to be able to go on be on television, do all kinds of analyst work, the whole bit, as his only 2 losses on his career is Canelo and Beterbiev. That's not a bad career, brother. Champion of the world, and those are your only 2 losses. Come on, really?
Nothing to be ashamed of.
Come on, it's just short of a Hall of Fame career, bro. You're Ali Trophy. You're the first Ali Trophy winner. You know, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
But if that's the case, I was gonna say Beterbiev put 2 guys into retirement. Vostok, remember Vostok?
Vostok came back. You know, he waited. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Beterbiev who put him in there, or if there was, you know, other issues that drove him into retirement. But he's wanted to come back. But again, it's hard to come back once you drank from the silver cup. You know, once you've been the champion of the world, it's hard to come back and rebuild it all the way. Go through that whole, you know, boom, 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 all the way back down the ladder. You climb these steps all the way up, and boom, 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 boom. You come down. You have to build up. Very hard. And if fighters, I think, could understand that everything will come to an end for everybody eventually, and focus on the positive of what you have done and be happy with the result you achieved. And as long as a fighter you have overachieved in what you've done, you've gone to the mountaintop, you've done it, you went further than you ever could have hoped for when you started out in this game. If you kept that perspective the same way Lennox Lewis did, you have a happy retirement, you retire with your senses, and you retire with money. And at the end of the day, isn't that what this is all about, bro? It's all good when it's all good when the machismo comes into it. I'm a fighter, I'm not a quitter, I'm gonna keep going, I'm a warrior. That's all good, but that doesn't pay the bills at the end of the day. You know, you've won, you've achieved, you've been champion of the world. No one can ever take that away from you, ever.
Hey, since you mentioned Lennox Lewis, I'm still waiting for that Vitaly Klitschko rematch.
He's going to, you know, I don't think enough people give credit to Lennox when he said, I'm retiring. Everybody expected a year later he'll be back. You know, you got to give the guy credit for what he did. He went out on his career. He had a mission, what to do, and he did it. So what are you going to do? And he's got all his senses about him. And, you know, condolences to him as well. I don't know if you realize he lost his mom recently, you know, and she was a very violent. She was a very important role in his career. And so, you know, time to move on and do other things. But, you know, he's arguably one of the greatest heavyweights that ever lived. And he's going to walk into that Hall of Fame, no problem.
Lewis is already inducted.
He's already in.
He's already inducted, yeah.
See, I need you to tell me this kind of stuff. You see, that's good. That's good.
Hey, and since you mentioned Lennox Lewis, what's your thoughts when you hear some say that that Fury is better than Lennox Lewis? That Fury has accomplished more than Lennox Lewis.
Can I pretend I didn't hear that question and we go on to the next one, or what? Bro, I hope February 17th, Usyk going to take care of Tyson Fury.
I gotta ask you about you know, I haven't listened to Fury's comments because I refuse to to listen to them, but I'm pretty sure Fury has said a lot of things about Usyk, uh, and I'm just wondering, has he? Do you think he's gotten into Usyk's head?
Usyk's head is like concrete, brother. Nothing's getting in that head. Nothing is getting in that head, and I think that's what's bothering Fury a lot is that he can't get that psychological warfare on him. You know, he can't get it because forget about skill level of fighting, intelligence level is next level. He's eons IQ above Tyson Fury, and that bothers Fury.
Not to give your game plan away, but I'm assuming that Usyk is sparring with some similar type of guys like Fury, like big and
No,
size and.
we decided for this camp to be a little different. We brought in guys who were middleweights, only about 160 pounds, and they're about 5'5", just to give Usyk the confidence he needs going into the fight. I'm bullshitting you, bro. Come on. I'm bullshitting. Come on. Come on. I'll tell you one thing, you know, doesn't have anything to do with me, but it's a lot easier to find guys the size and style of Fury than it is to find guys the style of Usyk.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He's a one in a million. He's one in a million.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna read out these questions quickly, just to see what you think. Adrian Delgado wants to know, what are Usyk's key to victory against a fighter that he will be giving up size to?
repeat the question. You cut out a little bit there. Repeat the question.
What are Usyk's key to victory against a fighter in which he's giving up size?
Look, you know what? Great fighters in history have dealt with height and reach differences. Boxing history is full of it in all kinds of weight classes, whether it was Hagler or Leonard against Hearns, you know, whether it was Joe Frazier against Ali, it doesn't matter, you know. Fighters have to adapt to the situation in front of them. The weight is the same. Boxing goes by weight class, not by height class. So everybody learns to handle that. You know, so obviously there's no doubt that he's training and preparing to deal with a guy who is bigger and who is taller. And Fury, by the same token, has to deal with a guy who's doing everything to make the big guy miss, doing everything to fight the smaller guy. He has to prepare for that as well. It's a completely different preparation than having to prepare for somebody that's as big as him. So both guys have to make adjustments. I mean, clearly, the question we have to avoid is, you know, we have to avoid the wrestling matches. We have to avoid getting hit at long range and being kept outside by Fury if that's what he chooses to do. We have to get inside. We have to make him miss. We have to punish him when we do make him miss. When we get inside, we have to work. We have to turn him. There's all kinds of things that have to be done, you know, to compensate for the size difference.
Billy wants to know, what does Usyk actually have the power to knock out Fury?
Look, he's a legit heavyweight. You know, like he can punch. Does he have the power to knock him out? You know, Steve Cunningham knocked him down. Wilder, of course, dropped him a bunch of times, but Wilder has the power to blast out anybody. Knockouts, usually in the heavyweight division, you know, don't only come as a result of one punch. You know, it's an accumulation of punches, fatigue, how often you're getting hit, eventually where the body breaks down. Ngannou dropped him, you know. It doesn't matter. Yes, he can. He can stop him, but that's not going to be just because he hits him once and it's over. It's going to be because he's run him into the ground and Fury has absolutely no resistance anymore. And that's how he could stop him, you know? And I could see that happening. But, you know, that's not so. He's working to win every round and go the 12-round distance.
Box Eye Real wants to know, how is Usyk preparing for Fury?
Very well. Very well.
To use his size, like leaning on him in clinches, the rough tactics. How will Usyk prepare for the rough housing, the rough tactics from Fury?
That's what we're working on in the gym. That's what we're working on in the gym. That's it's a very important part of Tyson's modus operandi, not only with Usyk but with everybody he fights. You know, he imposes his size on you, wants to lean on you, wants to tire you out. He wants to get into a wrestling match with you. He wants you to use your strength to use up your strength to try to untangle yourself from his web. But you know, we're dealing with all that.
Him the best heavyweight since Lennox Lewis. What's your thoughts? Would he be better than Lennox Lewis?
I don't know that you could say he's better than Lennox Lewis. I think that it's two completely different careers with different accomplishments. I don't think I right now would want to compare him to any of the heavyweights. I think what we need to do is look at the career that he has had, in which he's become undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, and on February 17th has the chance to become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And even if he doesn't, his accomplishment to become unified heavyweight champion of the world, you know, there's not a lot of guys who have done that. So, but that doesn't mean you can automatically say, you know, well, he's better than everybody. It's just a sign of the times of where we live in, but it's a massive accomplishment for his career and what he set out to do, to become champion, to be the best that he can be. And now what he's doing is, like I spoke to you earlier, he's overachieving. He became cruiserweight champion. Most would have been happy with that. Okay, I'm cruiserweight champion. You retire with all 4 belts. Great. No, he wanted more, and he wanted to overachieve, and he did. And he became unified champion. Now he wants to continue to overachieve. So, you know, this is a career for the ages that I hope this generation of fighters and fans appreciate this. Because being 45 years in the game, you don't see this every day. You don't see this every day. Yeah.
Also, if Usyk wins, how would you rate him historically?
Where? Heavyweights or cruiserweight?
Heavyweight.
Hard to say. Hard to say. Again, his accomplishments are outstanding and what he has done. As a cruiserweight, he's either the greatest or the second greatest cruiserweight of all time. You flip it up between him and Evander Holyfield, both who went on to heavyweight greatness as well. So that's pretty good company to be in, don't you think?
Stephen Dale wants to know, what were your thoughts when you saw that Fury and Ngannou fight?
I felt that Fury was trying to shark us all. You know, I thought that, you know, he tried to tell you that he prepared and he got ready and Ngannou was great, but I think Fury wasn't ready. I think Fury wasn't ready for that fight. I don't think Fury trained for that fight. I think we're going to see a different Fury in this fight with Usyk. I think this one he's taking seriously. He knows what's at stake here. I don't think he felt threatened by Ngannou. And I think he contributed to making Ngannou look better than he really should have looked. And I think Anthony Joshua will prove that when they fight in March.
You know what, Russ? A fighter once told me that's a big fight, and they take a fight before that big fight. They kind of bluff, so on purpose, so that they make that big opponent think that they're not looking that good.
Well, I already told. I don't know if it's so much a bluff, but what I said to everybody was. Fury did an old school tactic. He took a fight as part of his training camp. This was part of his preparation for Usyk. Wasn't a dangerous fight. It was like a tune-up. He wasn't in any kind of shape. Fought himself into shape, shook off some ring rust, got in the ring, did some work, and then jumped right back into training camp like they would have done in the old days. So I think that was part of his preparation for Usyk. I believe.
What's your thoughts on Daniel Dubois mentioning Usyk's name after he beat Miller?
Mentioning whose name?
After Daniel Dubois beat Miller, he mentioned Usyk's name, wanting to fight Usyk once again. What's your thoughts on that?
If he mentioned his name, the only reason he should have mentioned his name should have been to say thank you for the pep talk and the vote of confidence that Usyk gave him after their fight and told him, you're young, you can come back, you have to believe, you have to work. And he really tried to embed in Dubois that there was talent there, and it doesn't mean that losing to Usyk was the end of the world, and he can come back from that. So if Dubois had anything to say, it should be thank you to Alexander Usyk, because the experience and the performance and what he did in the ring against that guy, he doesn't realize it now, but it has given him a world of experience that will carry on into future fights.
In regards to this fight, do you feel like Usyk needs a knockout in order to win, or can he comfortably win by decision?
I'd like to hope to say he can win by decision, and I think it was fair enough with AJ, in the two fights, both were decisions, and that he proved he could win on a decision, and I'm hoping he'll be able to do that again. So I don't think he needs a knockout to win. No, it would be great if we get it, but I don't think he needs it.
The reason why I ask you
Brother?
that is because sometimes the reason why I asked you that is because I sometimes hear some say that in order to beat the man, you got to really beat him the way Rafael Espinosa just Robesi Ramirez.
Both are champion. Both are champion. You could say the same thing about about Fury. So let's just hope that whoever wins without controversy and wins fair and square, without dirty tactics, without any cheating. We know Tyson's history of cheating, so let's hope that there's no cheating. So and that it's a fair fight.
Is there a rematch clause?
Apparently there is. Apparently there is.
And what's your thoughts on Big Bang Shang? That's, I've interviewed quite a few times, and he's mentioned both Fury and Usyk wanting to fight.
Well, of course they
those guys.
They have to mention them. They have the belts. You have to mention them. I mean, it's nothing bad that he mentions them, but I like him. He's a good fighter. Good fighter. Very entertaining. I like him, and I like Hrgovic as well.
And since I mentioned Big Bang Shang, I just heard that he has a fight with Wilder. What's your thoughts on that fight?
I think that Wilder has to go back to the gym and get back to basics, because the Wilder that was in the ring in Saudi was not the same Wilder that beat Bermane-Stiverne over 12 rounds to win the WBC title. This was not the same fighter at all. This is like almost two different human beings.
Buenas
Hasta la
noches.
buena noche from España. Yes.
Buena suerte en esta pelea.
Muchas gracias, loco. Muchas gracias. Thank you for having me on. Un abrazo, hermano.
Igualmente.
Take care, brother.
Adiós.
Have a good one.